Welcome back to the Fitness League, helping busy humans build strong bodies, sharper minds, and better lives. Join us each week as we cut through the noise, challenge the norms, and empower you to train smarter and live stronger. What is more important, protein or strength training in the context of building muscle? We'll be diving into this question and many more in today's specialized Q&A. We're going to change it up a little bit with you guys. We are going to put categories on our Q&A post in that Facebook group. So today is going to be dieting, nutrition, and we'll jump right into this here. So protein or strength training, and she had linked an article. This is from Tyla. This could also go on our Trolling the Internet series if we ever pick that one back up. But she was upset about some headlines that appeared to be misleading, and then I believe she snuck this in as an actual question that she wanted us to tackle on the podcast. So I've got thoughts. I'll let you guys go first.
I don't know what the original article is, but what I can say is A, why do we have to choose? But B, protein helps with a recovery from the stimulus. If there is no stimulus, there is no building muscle. It's like taking creatine to build muscle, but you're not working out. Like we need the stimulus. So obviously it's ideal for someone to be strength training and consuming plenty of protein for reinforcements, for lack of a better term. But the strength training is what you are going to need to provide the stimulus that will build muscle and strength.
So here's the context. Before you jump in, I'll just provide the context. So this is an NPR article. Looks like an ad. The headline is "Millions of women are quote unquote under muscled. These foods help build strength," which already sounds stupid. And then the top of these foods help build strength. The top, we start to lose muscle in our 30s, and the loss accelerates with age, putting us at risk of frailty later in life. But what you eat, specifically how much protein, is a big part of the solution. So that part's less egregious. So to be very clear, protein does not build strength. Resistance training builds strength. Now, to Joelle's point before, absolutely critical as far as building muscle mass and recovering from that stimulus. So the position I was going to take was that if we had to choose one, I would say strength training would take the slight priority, because in the absence of that, the protein is helping preserve some muscle. But when we look at something like fasting, for example, if we are strength training through fasting, we are doing an even better job preserving that muscle. So that's the starting point. That is the stimulus. And then the protein is going to be what helps you recover and build and move forward and grow and progress. I don't like ranking them. If I did, that is my thought process on which I would choose. But I could very easily be counterpointed with the idea that if you're not consuming enough protein, you're probably also not building enough muscle. So I think kind of a chicken or the egg thing.
I think the frustrating part of this specific example, though, is how it was positioned. Like Tyla said, millions of women are under muscled. I mean, yeah, that's true. These foods help build strength. That's not necessarily what's happening. And I feel like this kind of just bleeds into the whole issue we have with how women are marketed to when it comes to fitness, when it comes to nutrition. Like, for some reason, we're put in such a separate bucket that's like dainty and the pink weight dilemma, and like use the light weights and Pilates and all these things. And it's really no different. Like, we should be getting the same messaging that men get. I understand marketing is a big thing here, but this just, to me, further confuses people and further separates women from the conversation of building muscle and fueling their bodies. So that's my take on it. I think I didn't read the full article. Maybe the full article was fine. But the headline like this, which I know is clickbaity, pisses me off.
Yep. Guarantee that the person that wrote this has never worked out.
It's a good chance. It's a good chance. All right. Aaron asks, is there a way to get high protein and lower sugar, higher fiber food on a low budget? I feel like powders and healthier food options are so much more expensive. What if you can't afford things like supplements, meat, a membership to a wholesale club, etc.? Are there lower cost options that will allow you to still meet goals from a normal grocery store? I would love to see something like a meal plan that costs under $5 a meal. If this seems impossible, why do you think there aren't more cheap, healthy food options? I want to jump in right off the bat, Aaron, and kind of address the cost per serving. So I know there tends to be a higher sticker price on something like a protein powder, but what is something like Legion? It's probably still less than $2 per serving.
Like,
do you know that?
I think they're $50 maybe, right?
I was going to push back on that same exact thing, Josh. Yeah, I could go to the Legion site now and see what the protein per serving actually breaks down to. I agree. You might go onto a website and be like, $60 for a thing of protein. Like, that's a lot. But if you're getting to have that scoop of $1.95 per serving.
Yeah.
So where else are you getting 25 grams of protein for less than $2?
And that's a high quality research back. Like, that's the top brand of protein you can get. There's probably other ones that might not be as
right.
They might be a little bit even more affordable than that for a good whey protein. So, I'm with you guys there.
Granted, I understand like not wanting to spend money on supplements, but it is cost effective. Like to do, if that's replacing a meal that you would have otherwise been chicken, beef, salmon, whatever, it is going to be more cost effective in the long run.
It is. So I also did a little research, little homework before we jumped into this episode. I use Stop and Shop as my reference point. So what I'll do is give you some key affordable protein sources and then some meal ideas that are actually under $5 per serving. So from Stop and Shop, something like boneless, skinless chicken breast, a value pack. You can grab that. They're 25 grams of protein per serving. It's about 4 ounces. Something like canned tuna. This next one is going to have to be combined to complete your protein, but something like canned or dried beans, potentially protein soups if you want to dive into that route. But Greek yogurt is another great cost-effective go-to as far as the ideas. So putting those into other things. So actual full meals under $5. Tuna and white bean salad, about 30 grams of protein in a serving. Talking about a can of tuna, half can of beans, olive oil, vinegar. That's about $3. Chicken and veggie rice bowl. This is a go-to that I have that I absolutely love, and you can create it a bunch of different ways, but just throwing some different veggies on there. Olive oil, do a little stir fry, $4 per serving. Lentil soup with grain, about 24 grams of protein, $3 to $4. Tuna stuffed sweet potato, 25 grams of protein, $4. Bean and cheese quesadilla. I would throw some rice in there just to complete the protein, and rice is going to add about 30 cents. But 20 grams of protein, $3. Chicken and bean burrito, 30 grams of protein, $4 to $5. Greek yogurt fruit bowl, $2 to $3, and that's 15 to 20 grams of protein, depending on if you want to throw some nuts in there. And that's just, we're talking about a standard serving. Tuna pasta salad, 25 grams of protein, $4. Chicken stir fry, 25 grams of protein, $4 to $5. Bean and grain bowl, 20 to 25 grams of protein, $3. So here's my biggest pushback on this misconception, which I think a lot of people fall under. It's a great question, Aaron, and a lot of people struggle with this because they'll see, I have to do organic. If I'm going to do healthy, why wouldn't I do organic? And that's obviously going to ramp the price up. You don't necessarily need to go organic. I would much rather see you purchasing a value bundle from Stop and Shop than not eating protein at all, or just totally staying away from this stuff. But if we plan ahead, if we do some meal prep, if we get a little creative with simple meals like this, these are all 2-3 ingredient meals. You don't have to spend a ton of money. We're talking $2 to $5 for these full out meals. And then you go back to the protein shake. If your protein's low, you want to mix in one of these meals, you throw in a protein shake, and that's $1.95 for that serving. So there are definitely some things that we can do on a budget to focus on improving our health, improving our fitness, improving our body composition, completely without breaking the bank, without having a Costco membership, without going to Whole Foods. We can make it work.
We've talked about the rotisserie chicken too often, and that's probably another really affordable way. Even if you catch it on a sale, like that's cooked protein for you. It's probably like $5-6 for a full chicken, and you can spread that across your lunches for the week, use it for dinners for the week, buy a few of them and just make a chicken salad, do whatever you want with it. But I think that's another just really simple way to get high protein in that is super cost effective, super easy, it's ready to go.
That was one of Paul Saladino's recent fear baiting posts.
Oh no,
was the rotisserie chicken. Rotisserie chicken. The guy makes a living off of scaring people, and I would love to do one of these blow up boxing matches with 2 non-boxers and just beat the shit out of this guy one time. Just the last time he came up, I went through this. Very few people I actually hate on.
Stop swearing.
Sorry, very few people I actually hate on, and this guy just he makes a living scaring people. I strongly dislike it.
My favorite recent video of his was when he was like cutting up a spaghetti squash and putting spaghetti squash on his plate, and he called it animal-based pasta. It's literally a vegetable.
What?
Animal-based pasta, he called it. I'm like, that's a squash, Paul. Anyway,
weren't they trying to kill him?
Think that there is
trying to kill him last year?
I don't know. Plants are poison, remember?
Plants are poison.
I do think that there is something to buying in bulk. Like we have not used so we have a Costco membership. We haven't been to Costco in like 2 years until a few weeks ago. We were like, let's just go. Let's see. Typically we're at a regular grocery store or like a Whole Foods. We did spend a lot of money at Costco, admittedly. However, we got about 3 grocery trips worth of food in that one grocery haul. And when I think about the type of protein specifically that we bought at Costco, we bought huge bags of stuff, like huge bags of chicken, fully cooked chicken, huge bags of like chicken nuggets, like the Simply Bare nuggets, even canned chicken, canned salmon, like so many different types of protein specifically that were fairly budget friendly. So I know, Josh, the examples that you were giving were Stop and Shop, not necessarily buying in bulk. But if you do have something like a Costco, a Sam's Club, BJ's, whatever, wholesale, whatever, superstore, buying in bulk really does save you a lot in the long run.
It probably honestly cuts the cost that I mentioned in half. Like I know it stinks to pay for the upfront fee. I think it's like $110. One, you get a rebate on that. If you get the executive membership, I think it's $20 more. So if you can save up for that, get all of that, like the amount you're paying for that membership, they'll send you a check at the end of the year, assuming you spend enough. But you'll save that $100 in your first 3 trips. Like we talked about cults in the last episode. I belong to the Costco cult. I am a firm believer in Costco. Saves us money. Like we can leave with a truckload of stuff for under $400, and like we're good on those things for months. So it stinks up front, but it saves you a ton. Like you could get that down to $2 per meal from that list we shared before.
I know a lot of people, we don't have one close to us to go there, but a lot of people do love Aldi's. Is it Aldi's or Aldi? I don't know.
Aldi.
But they are known to be like super affordable when it comes to food, and it's kind of like off-brand stuff a lot of the time, but it's when you look at the macros and you look at the nutrition label, it is the same thing as some of these more well-known brands. And I know they have meat, they have everything you could need in a grocery store, so I would definitely recommend seeing if you have an Aldi's near you, or take the trip to go there if you really are somebody who's trying to make this work on a very low budget. I've heard great things, and I used to go there in college. We used to have one near where we went to college, and on a college budget it was helpful.
That's how I survived those Aldi's.
Yep,
I survived on Walmart in college.
Yeah, Walmart too. Same thing.
Yeah,
there's options, I think, is the moral of our story here.
Absolutely. So don't box yourself into that corner. You can absolutely have meat, you can absolutely eat healthy. We just have to be strategic with how we prepare. All right. Kimberly says, hi. First, I love you guys. We love you too. I look forward to every podcast, Tuesday, Thursday. I am following along with Alessandra's postpartum journey as I am 4.5 months postpartum with my 3rd baby. I would like to lose 5 to 10 pounds and get rid of my fluffy stomach. Any advice on how to tighten my core postpartum and how to calculate my macros to lose weight without messing with my milk supply? I exclusively breastfeed. Thank you, guys.
So we've talked about this a little bit before, and I think we keep saying we're going to do a full episode, and we were going to do a postpartum and pregnancy episode today, but Josh wouldn't let us do it. So let's just...
I wanted to hang out with you guys today. You guys can plan the postpartum one next week, and I can go do something with the kids, I'm more than happy to. But I didn't want to just be the narrator.
No, but we've touched on this a little bit before. And I think the first thing I want to say is this is such an individualized topic because it truly is different with every single client that we've worked with. Like what I'm able to do as far as a deficit differs from what Joelle was able to do as far as a deficit to maintain milk supply, differs from every client that we've worked with as far as like, can they handle a steeper deficit and it's not affected? Some of them, do some of them notice a dip in supply with a 200 calorie deficit? Yes. So it really is sort of an experimental time because everybody's body is truly different in that aspect. So it is going to be something you kind of have to experiment with and monitor milk supply and kind of see how that goes. And then the other thing I was going to say is I feel like I would assume probably a lot of women, the stomach area postpartum tends to be the area that most people aren't comfortable with. And obviously there's been a lot of changes happening to your stomach area. Sometimes it is just time. Sometimes it's a combination of body fat, loose skin, or something like diastasis recti where the muscles just are not fully strengthened or, back together yet. So it oftentimes I think is a combination of all of those things that is making the appearance of your stomach something that you don't love. So I am a firm believer of strengthening first, work to build your core back up. That's why we have the Postpartum Forever program in the app. That's why I created it, is to make it easy to do and something you don't have to hyper fixate over or stress about. So strength, if body fat loss is something that you are ready for and you feel like you can manage at this point postpartum. I don't think she said how far postpartum she was, right? Oh, 4.5 months. So yeah, I mean, you're at a point where if that's something you wanted to start to think about, you can. That comes with focusing on the deficit. And then the loose skin thing, I have read and I have found that at about 6 months, like that's really the point where any changes are going to kind of slow down from that point. Like your skin, for some people, is forever changed. For some people, it goes back like nothing at all. For me, I have loose skin and stretch marks, and I was doing a laser and microneedling to kind of just help boost collagen in that area, and I've noticed a great difference in that. So there's options, but I think, kind of just giving your body a little bit more time too, and making sure that it's strong, your core is strong, and that you lose the body fat first, and then the skin is something you can kind of assess later if need be. That's my protocol, I guess, there. Joelle, you feel free to hop in and add anything else you want.
I agree with all of it.
Ditto.
I'm wondering if there's any studies on the red light for the skin, like postpartum.
I don't know. I do feel like I know you encouraged me to do when I expressed, he didn't encourage me saying like, your skin is loose, go do the sauna. Like I expressed to him, you're going to get me killed. I was unhappy with how it was looking last postpartum with Cora, and you were like, hop in the sauna. Like that can be helpful sometimes. But I haven't looked into the red light stuff at all. I would assume it can't hurt things. I mean, I don't know.
Are you going back for more laser and microneedling on it?
I'm at I think it's been 6 weeks. This week will be 6 weeks. And he said the results will I'll start to really, I guess they peak, at 6 to 8 weeks. I have noticed it's made a significant difference already, and I'm losing body fat too, which you brought up. When you lose more fat, the appearance of that loose skin likely increases because it's just less fat filling it out. Yep. So for me to have it looking better at this point and being lower body fat, I think that's a sign that it's likely doing something. So I might go back for one more round, but I don't think I'll need 3 rounds this time.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I have noticed that exact thing even just with myself. Immediately postpartum, I have no loose skin, I have no stretch marks, and then you get leaner, and you're like, oh, there it is. And I wouldn't say that mine is significant, but you notice it in certain positions or certain clothes or depending
certain
on
lighting.
How high or low waisted your leggings are, stuff like that. They're like, oh yeah, there it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's cool that the lasers and microneedling has worked. I remember after your first one, post-Cora, it did. I'm curious to see a before and after for this next round that you did.
Yeah, it's cool to know that it's a thing. And I feel like even, going through, I didn't have a ton after Kai, obviously younger person. But I think it's cool that there's options out there today. Like it's not just skin removal surgery or deal with it. Like you have options to, and it's not invasive, right? It's microneedling that people get on their face. It was red for a few days and it heals up. And the goal with it is it damages your skin so that the collagen sort of rebuilds over time. And I think that's cool to me that it can even, your body can do that. So
like how lizards or some animals, they can just like, if their tail falls off, they just grow a new one.
Yeah.
So I forget where where I read this. Here we go.
Here he goes.
What's it called? Like when you burn a wound, is it catheterizing? Cauterizing?
To cauterize it.
Cauterize it. So
there goes my camera.
There goes the camera. If you don't cauterize or like sew a cut thumb, for example, say you cut the tip of your thumb off, it'll grow back. Like you just leave it, which obviously there's risk of infection. No way. Maybe not the entire thing, but it will start to grow back. It'll grow back, some of it. Now, I can't tell you the source because I don't remember. I just remember thinking as I had read it or watched, like, oh, that's crazy. And that's the end of my rabbit hole dive. But I did hear or read that or see that somewhere.
That's interesting. I can't say I've heard that before. But if that was...
What I can tell you is that, do you remember a few weeks ago, I sliced my finger nearly off with a peeler?
This is so much weirder, the fact that your camera shut off and you're telling this story now. I don't know why.
It won't let me switch to my FaceTime camera
I
unless
will stop it in a second.
Okay. But anyway, I would show you this if the camera was on, but my camera just died. When I tell you I had a chunk of my thumb missing and it is now fully regrown. It is not my thumb, obviously, but like I had a chunk out of my thumb and it looks like there was nothing ever there.
Okay, so it's true.
So I won't say I grew a thumb back, but I did. Like it looks like there was never even a cut there. And I am baffled with the way that it healed. Like every day I was watching it and like watching new layers of skin lay down. And now it she looks good as new.
I wish you did a time lapse.
I should. All right. Well, next time I nearly take my thumb off with a peeler, I'll do a time lapse of my healing experience, Josh.
Hey guys, real quick. If you've been listening and thinking, I need to start doing something for my health, but I don't have time for a full program, that is literally why we built the SDE Method app. It's a fitness app made for real people with real lives. Busy parents, working professionals, anyone juggling 100 things. You can get a smart, effective workout in around 30 minutes, some even closer to 20 minutes, and log out knowing you made progress. You can finally take the guessing out of your workouts. We have workouts designed to be done at the gym or at home, and you get access to all of them when you sign up. As life phases change, you can pick a new one that aligns better with what you have going on right now. And one more thing, we are also qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. So just hit the app link in the show notes, start where you are, we'll help with the rest. All right, let's get back to the show. Patience asks, is one source of fiber better than another? For instance, is the fiber you get from raspberries or blackberries better quality than the fiber from a Quest bar?
I think better, quote, depends on the goal. From like a microbiome diversity and overall health standpoint, whole fiber foods like berries and veggies and legumes and oats are going to be superior. For convenience and meeting your fiber goals, supplemental fibers like in bars can be really helpful in kind of helping you hit your daily intake. If a whole food option isn't practical for you in that moment. It's not going to be harmful, but it probably also shouldn't be your primary source of fiber. I would rather see you get whole food fiber if possible, fruits, veggies, whole grains. Then you're going to kind of have that mix of soluble and insoluble fibers and resistant starches. And there's a lot more benefits there of like gut motility and microbiome health. Also, when you're having the whole foods, you kind of get the like nutrient synergy that happens when you're getting other vitamins and minerals and antioxidants and phytonutrients, and those then work synergistically with fiber. The downfall of something like a high fiber bar or those added fiber foods, typically they have a prebiotic effect, but they don't have obviously the same nutrient density of a whole food. But the other thing to keep in mind is that especially in larger doses, i.e. something like a Quest bar, they can cause a lot of like gas, bloating, GI distress if you are sensitive to that. So if you're in a pinch, that is a convenient source. You are getting, some fiber there. But I would recommend that those don't become your main sources of fiber or like how you aim to hit your fiber intake.
Couple different aspects we can nail with this. First, let's talk about just natural fiber in general. Definitely wouldn't say one source is better than another. The importance there is getting that fiber diversity. So each different source of fiber feeds a different species of your gut microbiota. So if you're only having one specific source, you're feeding one species in your gut microbiome. And the more we can feed, obviously, the more that they can thrive and the more benefits we get. And these things, it's been a while, so maybe we dive into this soon. But there are incredible benefits that come outside of digestion. Like some microbiome can actually create hormones and vitamins, and it improves mood. And there's the gut-brain axis and all these different rabbit holes and tangents we could take it down. But most important thing there, we talk about eating your colors, we talk about plant points, be diverse with it, choose different sources, and get the full benefits of really allowing your microbiome to thrive. Then there's the aspect of this natural fiber versus the isolated fiber, which Joel started hitting on. And this is something I dove into before this episode, and I wasn't even entirely aware of this. But like with something with a Quest bar, they call them isolated fibers, which are actually manufactured additives designed to boost fiber content on the label, but they don't actually always replicate the same physiological benefits as natural fruit fiber. So Joel already touched on the nutrient synergy, but there's also the concept of fermentability. So some of these actually don't ferment. Some do, but some don't. The Quest bar, I think, is on the lower side of what actually happens as far as being that probiotic and reaching certain areas, and are they actually feeding gut microbiota in your microbiome. So a lot of these don't consistently feed those diverse gut microbes. She already mentioned and alluded to the GI distress because a lot of these things aren't happening. So I think it's, in a general sense, you go back to our body prefers things from the natural sources. Things are more bioavailable and we're getting them from the natural source versus whether it's, a processed version or entirely manufactured in a manufacturing facility, a lab, whatever. Our body wants the real stuff. So not a bad thing. If your stomach doesn't notice that distress, then you're probably okay to supplement with it. But you definitely want the majority coming in from your whole foods.
Nothing F's me up more than one of those fiber sodas.
Oh, yeah. The Olipop or whatever.
Olipop.
Destroy my stomach.
Really?
Awful. There's two, Drink Poppy, I think, is one of them. And then
Drink
the
Poppy
Olipop
and
is the other.
Olipop.
Those wreck me like no other.
Why do they both have pop in them? Is it the word soda, like soda pop?
Yeah, it's like a fizzy drink. Yeah. I was going to say, like, I was a Quest bar junkie back in the day. We both were, like, back when
microwave
If It Fits Your Macros was like,
I was because of, well, I was not a
you were
junkie
because of
until
me.
you.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. But I would have like 1 to 2 a day, and I thought they were the greatest thing ever. And I think it just also, I want to touch on the message that there's a lot of these like healthy foods that are marketed as like high protein, high fiber, when in reality it's just an ultra processed food packet. Like they're marketing it as healthy, but it's not going to replace a whole food source, which Josh alluded to. And I think there's this whole market of like these things that people think they need in order to be healthy and to go on their fitness journey. And look, we were there too. Like Quest bars were all the rage. We would like microwave them and make desserts out of them, and it was like a thing. But I think back to how I felt at that point and just like what else I ate throughout the day. And I can tell you, like, as somebody with an iron stomach and great digestion, like that messed my stomach up, and I did not feel good from those things. So comparing it to now, like as somebody who eats mostly whole foods most of the time, everything in moderation, of course, but most of our diet is whole food sources. I feel so much better. Like my digestion is regular. I have so much more energy. You just notice a difference in how you feel on a day-to-day basis. Like I was bloated all the time back then. We would like try to eat clean and eat these Quest bars throughout the week, and we would go out to dinner and have like these crazy cheat meals on the weekend, and I would be in physical pain with how bloated I was, and like my stomach was so just it just was not good. So I just want to throw that caveat in there. Like these are things that are marketed as healthy, and you also do not need them.
I'm going to jump out of order here for this one because Kayla has a fiber intake follow-up. She says, I struggle to hit this while also staying under a calorie goal and hitting a protein goal. I will eat half a bag of salad only to discover there was 2 grams of fiber. Or I will eat an apple only to add on another 2 grams of fiber. It often feels remarkably tricky and challenging. What am I missing here? I think it's just a little homework, Kayla. So like there's certain foods are going to have a couple grams. Certain foods are going to be a home run and as far as bang for your buck with calories and fiber ratios. Like blackberries, raspberries, those are awesome. Like what is it? A handful is close to 8 grams of fiber each. You throw some chia seeds, some flax seeds into your oats. And like, I think with breakfast, I sent this over in our group chat with the coaches and Tom was like, I don't know how you eat that. And sent me, there's a meme for like colon blow or whatever. But like my breakfast is like, it's got to be 20 grams. It's close. It's like
I think
50.
we all eat a very high fiber breakfast.
It's wild.
Because Joelle has posted hers too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you're doing oatmeal and berries and chia seeds, like you're going to land at least 15 grams. Even like I was packing, Sloan wanted a peanut butter sandwich with her lunch today. It's 2 slices of Dave's bread, which I think are 5 grams of fiber each.
Yep.
And probably 2 tablespoons of peanut butter on there, which is another, at least probably 5 grams of fiber in that. So her peanut butter sandwich alone is 15 grams of fiber. Like, so I agree. Some of it is just going to be homework. Like lettuce is not going to have a lot of fiber just because there's just not a lot of calories. What was the other example she gave? Oh, an apple. Yeah. So berries are going to be really, really high in fiber. I would
avocado.
Yep. Avocados are really great fiber source. Blackberries and raspberries are always like top tier. Berries in general, but like especially raspberries is always like the first one in my head. Beans are really great. Like if you just need to add some fiber and some carbohydrates to a meal, like throwing black beans or kidney beans or chickpeas into a salad or into a bowl of something, those are going to be really helpful. Where I find people struggle to hit fiber is when they are drastically cutting their carbohydrates. And now they're struggling to hit fiber because their carbs have gotten really low, or they have maybe some of those like underlying carb fears of like, I'm dieting, I shouldn't be having a lot of carbs. And then it becomes like, well, how am I supposed to hit my fiber then? Because maybe now you're not eating the oatmeal and you're not eating the Dave's bread or whatever else. So first and foremost, my follow-up question would be, how many carbs are you aiming to eat each day? And is that something that you're tracking? Because if carbs or calories in general are getting too low, you may struggle to hit those numbers.
Kayla, if you're in the app also, we do have a PDF section in there, and I believe our fiber cheat sheet is in the app. It might be titled like plants something. But there's a whole cheat sheet in there that where we give you the breakdown of like the highest fiber foods and how much fiber you're getting per serving. So feel free to go download that if you're in the app too, because that can be just super helpful, just kind of broadening your horizons. And then like everybody said, use that and assess how your full day of calories does with those additions. And I guarantee it'll be a game changer.
All right, we are coming up on time here a little bit, and we have a handful left to tackle. So we're going to go a little quicker. Olivia says, carb-fat ratios. How do you guys determine if someone should be a higher carb, lower fat, or vice versa? Are there any significant differences between the two, or is it purely how the person feels and responds?
So first and foremost, I would go, there's definitely a preference aspect to this, but first and foremost, I would assess how active someone is. Generally speaking, the more active you are, the higher you can make that carb to fat ratio. That said, trial and error matters as well. If maybe you are really active and you don't feel good when your carbs go past 300 grams of carbs. And so you swap out some fats for carbs. So generally speaking, the more active you are, the more carbohydrates you can implement for performance and recovery. But there's not necessarily a strict rule about if, when this, then do that. So part of it is going to be trial and error and personal preference.
And it can change too. Like for me, early, like throughout pregnancy and early postpartum, I was craving all the high fats, like healthy fats, like give me all the nuts, avocados. And I'm sure that is just like a biological, like we need to create.
We need biologically crave the more
really,
nuts.
Josh, we need to create a good milk supply for this baby. So I think for me, like I was eating upwards of, I was like over 100 grams of fats per day, just because like that's what my body wanted. And now that I'm running more, I'm way more active than I was in those earlier postpartum days. I want all the carbs for that performance, and fats are like whatever, like they're still up there, but they're not anywhere near what they were early postpartum. So it's okay if your preferences change based on your goals as well. But at the end of the day, like I think a lot of people hyperfixate on this too, whereas as long as you've got a good balance of both, like it's probably not going to make a huge difference as long as you're like going by preference too.
I eat a lot, and over the years my carbs have been as high as like 500 grams in a day, and I felt horrendous. And that was primarily like whole foods, and which the volume of that made it worse.
You know what's interesting though? That was when you weren't doing a ton of cardio. So I would wonder how you would feel now that you're running, you're a hybrid athlete.
Now that you're Nick Ware.
I am a hybrid athlete.
I'm curious to, like, if you were to increase your carbs now, if that would make a difference, or if like you would notice a difference.
It's probably because I am high caffeine, drinking a ton of caffeine. I'm drinking 2 coffees now, so my appetite is a bit suppressed. I'm running more, so I'm up to 15, 20 miles a week, training 4 days a week. I still don't want more carbs. I don't crave it. I'm not very hungry. I make sure I'm strategic with when I'm getting those carbs. But like in the midst of this gut health journey, I learned my body thrives so much better on moderate, like it's not low carb, but it's moderate carbs and higher fats. It's just easier for me to get in the total amount of calories that I need through healthy fats, olive oil, nuts, nut butters, things like that. Steak, like I don't go super lean with a steak all the time. And I feel way better. I used to get so tired every time I ate. And we talked about this last episode. I was always eating and I was always tired. So making that little shift, taking 3-hour breaks between each meal, not getting above that 120 grams of carbs in a sitting. I don't have that just massive crash following. So I perform better this way. I think not necessarily because carbs are lower, but just because I feel better. Like I feel good. So I'm able to perform better.
And your carbs are not like low. Like for anybody listening, they're still
probably 300, 325 grams. It's not 500. So I might be 120 to 150-ish grams of fats per day, protein 200 to 225, and carbs are probably 300, maybe 350 in that range. So around 3,000 to 3,300 calories per day right now. And that's kind of my maintenance-ish. Could probably go a little higher right now, about 194 pounds. But I think this is in one of the following questions, and I said we were going to speed it up, and we didn't. So Danielle comes up. She's next. When you guys say 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, do you mean ideal body weight or current body weight? Should we adjust as we lose weight? For example, if I'm 180 and want to be 150, should I start eating 180 grams of protein as I drop weight, drop my protein to match, or start at 150 grams and stay there? Can you explain the why behind your answer? Thank you.
I could jump in here. So the 1 gram per pound of body weight is a really great like shorthand rule that works well for most people, but it's not the perfect scenario for everyone. If someone is at a healthy or moderately overweight body composition, using the current body weight is fine. If someone is carrying a significant amount of excess body fat, then using like goal weight or lean body mass, LBM, or an adjusted body weight can make more sense because fat tissue doesn't require much protein. In your example, starting closer to 180 grams of protein is perfectly fine. And it could even help in your dieting efforts because with protein higher, it'll help with satiety and muscle retention that, you want to aim for when you're in a weight loss or fat loss phase. As you get leaner and you approach that 150 pounds, you could reevaluate. You could modify and adjust your protein target to be closer to that 150 gram range. You don't need to lower it each week. Like as you're losing weight, it's not like, oh, now we could do 178 grams. But I would think about it more so in phases and reevaluate that way, maybe like every 10 pounds lost. But practically, if you're anywhere in that 150 to 180 gram range, that's a safe evidence-based range for you to be in.
For sure. Charity says, so many conflicting statements. Eat in a calorie deficit, but it'll crap out your metabolism. Eat for performance at maintenance, but how do you drop fat? It's hard to know what to do with calories when you want to get leaner.
There's lots of things going on in this question. So the first part, what'd she say? She said calorie deficit, but
it'll
kills...
crap out your metabolism.
Yeah. So the only way to lose body fat is to be in a calorie deficit. Is it going to crap out your metabolism? I would have to disagree with that statement. As you enter the deficit, your body does adapt to that at some point. For some people, they can stay at the same calorie deficit macros for the entire cut phase and they see progress every week, and it's kind of this linear trend, and it's all fine and dandy. And for others, we have to keep reducing that deficit. But it's not killing your metabolism. And the idea behind this is you're not going to be in the deficit forever. So at some point you want to come back up to maintenance calories. You can do a reverse diet and do it slowly if that is more mentally comfortable for you, or you can just hop back up to maintenance a little bit faster. But it's not harming you in the way that I feel like someone might have scared you into thinking that it's harming you, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think we confuse like a standard deficit with the long-term consequences of chronic dieting. Like a deficit is not inherently bad for you. Obviously, if we're too aggressive or we've been in a deficit for too long, then we risk some downstream negative side effects of that. And that's where the like, my metabolism is broken situation comes into play. And really, it's just your body conserving energy. But yeah, I mean, I get how it can feel really confusing and conflicting because you're like, if I want to perform well, I need to maybe eat at maintenance. And I would just think about periodizing your nutrition the same way that you periodize training. So there are going to be seasons where you're moving more and eating more. There's going to be seasons where you're moving less and eating less. And part of that might just be coming to terms with what season you're in. But I would urge you not to conflate short-term dieting with long-term strategy.
What a great transition. I'm actually going to combine Charity's second part with Nicole's second question. She had a couple questions coming up next. So her second question was on nutrition periodization. Thoughts on mapping out your whole year based on seasons of bulk, cut, maintenance, and following that each year, i.e. fall and winter bulk, summer maintenance, spring cut. If that seems like a good idea, what would you recommend as far as how to increase or decrease macros, i.e. slow and steady down or up 200 to 300 calories or faster to get to the goal macros for that phase? How long would you recommend each phase to be? And would you do a week between to deload? So a lot to unpack here. I'm going to generalize it and you guys can jump in however you see fit. But combining that with Charity asking about eating for performance at maintenance, how do you drop fat? How do you know what to do with calories once you want to get leaner? So as far as mapping out the entire year, I think that is a great idea in theory. I think a lot of things can probably knock you off and you have this whole thing planned out and it's like, oh, I was going to do this at this time and this at that time, but you've got a 2-month chunk where work was nuts or the kids were crazy and this got thrown off. So you didn't meet that goal and that throws off this, that, and the other. I would say if you want to do that, just be flexible with your mindset in regards to how intense you are in keeping this extremely strict. But to zoom out a little bit, I am in a phase of life where I've gone through the last 15 years on this never-ending cycle. It's like a forever bulk, and then I get too fluffy, and then you want to cut back down, and you kind of end up in the middle, similar to where you were. So my newer strategy, newish, and we've talked about this probably 6 or so months ago, is the philosophy of gaintaining, right? So we don't actually need to eat that many calories above maintenance. Like from maintenance to being into any surplus, 500 calories or 200 calories. There is pretty negligible amount of additional muscle that you're going to gain at that period. So a lot of us, myself in particular, when I was bulking, it was usually 500 calories per day above maintenance, which led to significant additions of fat, which led to an elongated cutting period. Versus now, like my goal is just to kind of maintain around 190 or so pounds, but focus on getting stronger over time. Now, as far as losing fat, that's probably not going to happen, but my body composition is still going to improve because if I'm adding muscle and fat stays about the same, my body fat percentage becomes lower. So I appear leaner, I'm getting stronger, I'm building muscle over time, focusing on performance. So I get most of the benefits I'm looking for from this long-term gaintaining. And then when I do want to cut, it'll be a very minimal deficit for whatever period of time that requires to, lose however much weight I need to lose, however much fat I need to lose. So that's kind of my longer term plan now versus like, okay, I'm going to cut it this time and then I'm going to bulk up to this weight and then I'm going to have to go back to cutting and then I'm going to maintenance. And it's this whole never ending cycle. And I don't believe in that as strongly as I used to. I think maybe there's a place if you need to maximize muscle gain and you're set on being in a bulk, I think there's a place for that. And you can obviously fuel performance by eating even more. But I would say life is going to throw you some wrenches, Nicole, as far as mapping out the entire year. I think it's fantastic if you can do that. And maybe there's some performance things you have in there as well. I don't know how realistic it is for most people. And just the cut bulk cycle is something that I've kind of taken a different perspective on recently to the point where like I wish I was doing this a long time ago. I'd feel a lot better. Listen, if you're tired of the all or nothing cycles, the diet starts Monday, the I know what to do, I'm just not doing it feeling, we should probably talk. Our one-on-one online coaching isn't just about workouts and meal plans. It's about building something that actually fits your life. No cookie cutter templates, no guilt, just real coaching and real results. Plus, we've got a pretty big team, so we can even pair you with an expert who actually understands your lifestyle because they've gone through it too. If that sounds like what you've been missing, check out the link in the show notes to apply for coaching. Then we'll send you the link to book a free, no obligation consult call with our team. There are no hard closes. We won't even take your credit card over the phone. You'll get the details to sign up on your own time. And more good news, we are in fact qualified for HSA FSA reimbursement. One last thing, we even offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. What are you waiting for? Spots are limited, so apply today. All right, let's get back to the show.
I was going to jump in and say the same thing. I'm at the place where there's very few people I would recommend an actual bulk phase to at this point. Maybe that's because our clientele has shifted a little bit over the years. Like we used to work with more bodybuilders and powerlifters and whatnot, and now we're more gen pop and you're at busy parents and just everyday people. So maybe that factors in a little bit, but even still, like to your point, like I don't think there's many people out there who need to spend months putting on excess body fat. Like we're already at a place as a society where we have plenty of that to go around. And we have a whole episode, I think, on maintaining, right? But I feel like so many people underestimate the value and just what can happen in a maintenance period. And for a lot of people, I feel like they get so fixated on going through a fat loss phase or maybe a bulk phase, and they don't spend nearly as enough time as they should be at just maintenance. And even you, Joelle, like you shared your 2 years postpartum journey and photos this week, and you haven't tracked macros in how many years now, and you've just been kind of maintaining, and your progress is incredible. And yes, I think we have to factor in like the beginning stages of our journey, and we did spend a lot of time tracking before, and we did spend a lot of time gaining that muscle mass, but at the end of the day, there still can be so much progress done in a maintenance period. And I think that so many people would thrive just in so many different ways by spending most of their time there.
Yep. Completely agree.
All right. Nicole's first question was EAAs. How do you feel about them? Is it a supplement you feel is worth it? How does it complement your protein intake? And or if you struggle to get your protein goal on a particular day, is it less of a big deal if you regularly supplement with EAAs?
We talked about EAAs once before, if I recall. I would prefer it over a BCAA, branched chain amino acid, because then at least you're getting all of the essential amino acids is the point there. But if you are getting enough protein in general in your diet, I would say save your money.
For sure. And if it was a question if I'm not hitting my protein, I would rather have the protein shake than the EAAs you're going to get. Unless you're already saying that's already a factor. But yeah, it's not a total waste of money where BCAAs probably are, but it's definitely not a valuable investment as far as where your money could go.
I would agree, though, shoot for the protein supplement over the EAA if you're lacking protein anyway.
We're going to wrap it up with Emily. She has 2 questions about calorie deficits and tracking progress. Some background. I'm 8 months postpartum, my first baby. Started my deficit about 8 weeks ago. I've lost 10 pounds so far and have about 20 more I'd like to lose. This week, I've added training back in following Build in our app. That's the program. Now that nutrition is more on autopilot, meaning I can eat in a deficit without thinking about it too much. I am doing daily weigh-ins and monthly progress photos measurements. Number 1. Is there anything I'm not tracking, paying attention to that I should be? And number 2, how will I know when I need to drop calories? I think you've said before you generally wait for weight to stall for 2 to 3 weeks before making an adjustment. Any other guidelines you'd give for adjusting down calories? I also just have to give a huge shout out to you and the free resources you share. I looked into one-on-one coaching, but it's not in my budget right now, so I decided I would treat this deficit as if I had a coach checking on me. Your podcast, free content on Instagram, and the training app, which I do pay for, are the main reasons I've lost the initial 10 pounds.
Hell yeah.
Thank you, Emily.
Boom.
You're rocking it. Love it.
I love that. It sounds like you're doing everything in a really great way, Emily. I think, you're paying attention to the right things. You are at a point postpartum where this stuff feels manageable, it sounds like. And, I think it's great that you can be in the deficit and not have to think too much about it, and it's kind of on autopilot. Like, that's also a great sign. So I would just continue what you're doing. The progress pictures are, in my opinion, the best way to track progress as far as fat loss goes, or just in general. Like, that's just my personal favorite, and I think it just shows you so much more than the scale can show you, although that can be a great tool as well, and it sounds like you're using that the right way. So I say just keep on chugging along. Do you guys think she's missing anything?
I think she's in an awesome spot. The only comment that I would make, I don't necessarily think you're missing anything. You are right in that we have said before, 2 to 4 weeks is a good time to make an adjustment without, if you're seeing your weight stall out. The only kind of correction I would make there is if you're seeing progress stall out, not just your weight. Because if you are noticing that your pictures are still changing and your clothes are still fitting differently and your body composition is still improving, I wouldn't be so quick to make that downward calorie adjustment just because your weight hasn't moved. So that's kind of the only caveat that I would put in there, especially because we sometimes think, like I know you said, I've lost the first 10 pounds, I'd like to lose another 20. We say that assuming that we know what that weight is going to look like on our body. So I would be a little bit weary of a specific goal weight. Maybe it's a goal body composition that you're striving for, but you may lose another 5 pounds and be like, I actually really like how my body looks in this current composition, and I feel strong here, and I think I just want to maintain this because the extra 500 calories that I'd have to put myself further into a deficit, that might actually not be worth it for my quality of life. So I would just caution against being dead set on whatever that 20 pounds look like. The opposite can also happen where you hit that 20 pounds and you're like, I still actually don't look like how I thought I wanted to look. So that's my only hey, just be careful with that part. I especially see that happen with postpartum moms because your body's just shaped differently post kids. I don't know.
Sometimes it just even your rib cage, your hips take time. Yeah. For some people, they never go back to how they were pre-kids. And for some people, it takes upwards of a year or 2 years for them to kind of be more what you perceive as normal. So that part can also kind of play mind games, make you play mind games because it's I'm down to my pre-pregnancy weight, but my body still looks a lot different. So I totally agree with what you said, Joel. I think that's a really important take.
Weight is one data point, and I certainly learned this the hard way. My biggest bulk, I bulked to 227 pounds, and then my thought process was I'm going to cut down to 200 pounds and be yoked. It's going to be so great. I got to 200 pounds. Like, this is not what I want to look like. I ended up losing 50 pounds before I was happy with my body composition. So I was shredded at 177. I never wanted to be that small ever again in my life. So like, again, this process, this cycle, cut bulk, cut bulk, cut bulk, using the number as the primary driver of progress. This is what I'm shooting for. It's irrelevant. Like, you got to play the long game. You got to do things the right way. And the right way to me now seems to be that long-term gain-tain. Get to, a body composition or a size or whatever that is with the progress pictures, cross-reference that with the weight, use biofeedback as additional data points, take all of these things in collectively and decide where you feel really good, where you are really confident in how you look, you're performing very well, you're adding value to everything else in your life. So that's the broader scale you want to kind of pay attention to as you ebb and flow throughout these different phases. But yeah, definitely you can use the number as a reference, but keep up with the progress pictures, keep tabs on biofeedback. We do daily check-ins with our clients in Levolution. It's literally sleep, stress, soreness, energy levels, hunger levels throughout the day, so we can cross-reference those with how body composition is improving, with what weight is doing, with how you're performing in the gym through those workouts. So I know it sounds like a lot.
Wouldn't it be cool to have something that tracks all those things?
What if you could like do a study on yourself?
Wouldn't that be so cool?
Get some feedback.
Cool.
Did you steal my line? Did you steal my line?
I had to
Imagine we
sneak
had,
it in
workouts and data tracking and like all your health data in one place.
there. Gosh, that'd be awesome.
Someone should create that.
Someone should create that. Maybe we'll do
What
a
do we
whole
got to talk
episode
to?
on.
We got to call some billionaire or something.
Yeah. We'll do a whole episode talking about that relatively soon. We'll leave you guys with that little nugget, and we'll wrap up this conversation here with the reminder that change doesn't come in one big moment. It's built in the ways you keep showing up. So take what you learned today and build the best version of yourself for tomorrow. Where can they find you?
I'm at Alessandra Skutnik,
At Joelle Samantha.
At Josh Skutnik.
and everything you need is linked in the show notes.